Good day, grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's geography lesson. My name is Nomthandazo Malembe. This lesson is brought to you by the Northern Cape Department of Education in collaboration with Phakama Research and Development. So in today's topic, we're going to focus on paper 2. We will be doing question 1. Remember, question 1 is a settlement in geography. Then we're going to go through to paper 2 topics as well as the weightings. So remember, your paper is out of 150 and the duration is 3 hours. So the breakdown of your 150, you have your section A, where else there is a settlement geography with 60 marks, as well as the economic geography with 60 marks, and then section B, which is your map work with 30 marks. So remember, in question 1, the one we are focusing on today, we will be looking at the 60 marks. Where else we have a short objective questions, which is out of 15 marks. Remember, you have your figure 1.1 and your figure 1.2. Together they make 15 marks. And then after that, you will have 3 questions, where else there is a 15 marks on each question. Based on those 3 questions, you will have one where there is a long question, a paragraph question that worth 8 marks. So we're going to go through our question 1. So our question 1, figure 1.1, you have your column A and your column B. Remember, when it comes to this part, they now give you the 2 options that you need to choose from. So you will be given 2 answers, which is a Y and then Z. Then you choose the most correct answer. So we have our figure 1.1, which is a short objective questions. You have 7 questions. Amongst those 7 questions, so you have the definitions in column A, and then you choose what matches the definition in column A on column B. So I'm going to give you 1 minute per question, which means you're going to have 7 minutes to work on this. So after 7 minutes, you will be able to do the correction. So you read, for example, your 1.1.1, the function of a rural settlement. So then you choose between Y, which is the multifunctional, and Z, which is a unifunctional. So you take down where you are writing your answers. So your 1.1.1, you will be choosing Y or Z. If it's Z, you write Z. If it's Y, you write Y. And then after that, you will be able to do the corrections. So I'm going to give you this 7 minutes. So after 7 minutes, we then proceed to the correction. With the hope that we are all done. So looking at our first question, the function of a rural settlement. So the key there is the rural settlement. Remember, in the rural settlement, we said they are only focusing on one function, which means the correct answer there, because multifunctional, it means they are doing more than one function. So the correct answer will be Z, where we are saying they are unifunctional. Why? Because they are only focusing on the primary activity. Then secondly, the site of a situation. Remember, these are the questions that fall under the rural settlement. So again, the site of a settlement, looking at our option, we have the exact land occupied by a settlement, and then Z, it's the location of a settlement in relation to the surrounding. Remember, the key, it was looking for the site. So the site, we are saying it is Y. Why? Because it's the exact land, or it's a piece of land where a settlement is built. Then number 3, the purpose of land reform in South Africa: to increase the access to water or to decrease the poverty. So remember, one of the main purpose or one of the aims of the land reform was to decrease poverty. When people they have land, so they will be able to use that land in their advantage. Then number 4, ensures the communal land rights of a farm workers. Remember, again, this is one of them land reform laws. So we are saying The key there is the communal land and also for the farm workers. Remember that is a land tenure. Then number 5, the government allocates land to the previously disadvantaged people. Again, it's still falling under the land reform. We are saying it is Z, which is your land redistribution. Remember, redistribution, the key is a previously disadvantaged people. So it falls under the land redistribution. Then number 6, the challenge associated with the land reform. So while we have your willing buyer as well as the willing seller clause, and there is more commercial farmers. So remember, we are talking about the challenge or the disadvantage of this land reform. Remember, we said the willing buyer as well as the willing seller clause. Then number 7, the result of a well-managed land reform. There we are looking at Y, which is the equal access to the land, because we are looking at the well-managed land reform. So this is your figure 1.1. Remember your figure 1.1, it's up to a 1 mark per question, which means it's 7 marks. Then we now move to figure 1.2. Your figure 1.2, you're going to have 8 questions that will make a total of 15 marks for your short objective question. So because it's a multiple choice questions, I'm going to project one question at a time. So 1 minute, and then we do the correction, we move to another up until we are done with all the 8 questions. So here you are given a various options that you need to choose from. It's between A up until D. So remember, you read the statement, then you choose the answer that will make the statement to be correct. So number 1, we have a central place town. So you're looking there at A, it offers a high order goods and services. B, it offers a rural function, as well as C, services the surrounding rural area. So now you need to think back. What was the definition for the central place? So again, I'm going to give you the 1 minute, and then after 1 minute, we proceed to the correction. Then you move to the second question up until we are done with all 8 questions. With the hope that we are all done. So we are looking there at a central place. So the most correct answer, we said a central place, it offers or it gives services to the surrounding rural areas. So therefore the correct answer there is C. Then we're moving to the second question, A, which is this one. Looking at the diagram, it's a diagram-based question. So A is classified as a low order good compared to B, because so they are already telling you that A is a low order good. So now you need to give us a reason why A is a low order. So again, I'm going to give you another 1 minute, and then after 1 minute we will be able to discuss the answer. With the hope that we are all done. So looking there at A, we are saying the correct answer is B, because it has a lower price and it is consumed regularly. So now going back, we said the low order goods, these are the types of goods that we use them every day and they are cheap and you cannot travel for them. So looking at A, we've got bread. There is no way that you cannot eat bread every day, and bread is also at a minimum cost, and also you cannot travel to another town or to another province for buying a bread. So therefore the correct answer there is B, because it has a lower price and it is consumed regularly. Then we're moving to question 3. So your question 3, range refers to buy a product. So again, your option A up until option D. So another 1 minute, and then after we proceed to the corrections. Hoping that we are all done. So we're looking there. Our correct answer is C. So let us see. The range refers to the maximum distance traveled to buy a product. Remember, the range, we are saying it's the maximum distance that a customer is willing or is prepared to travel. So hence the correct answer there was C. Then we're moving to question number 4. The range of a high good is. So again, we're talking about the range as well as the high order goods. So again, A up until D for 1 minute, and then after 1 minute, we will be able to do the correction. Right? The range of a high order good is, our option there is D. So it is large due to the high cost. Remember, the high order goods, we are saying those are the goods that we don't buy or we don't use every day, and they are expensive and we are willing to travel for those goods. So hence the option D is the most correct. Then we're moving to question number 5. Question number 5 refers to the minimum number of customers needed to make a business profitable. So this is a definition. You need a concept. What concept between A up until D? So another 1 minute, and then after we will be able to do the correction. So we are looking there, our option is B. So B is a threshold population. Remember, we said this is the minimum number of customers that are needed in order for the business to be able to make a profit or to be able to operate daily. And then we're moving to question number 6. Our question number 6, the threshold population of a grocery store is. So remember, the threshold population, we've already mentioned, it's the minimum number of customers that are needed in order for the business to operate. But now it's for the grocery store. So let us look at option A up until option D, and then after we will be able to do the correction. Hoping that we are all done. So looking at our best option there, it's option B. So our option B, the threshold population of a grocery store is high because it has more low order goods. Remember, we are talking about the grocery stores where we buy our daily products like your bread, your milk. So therefore, it is cheaper. It needs a lot of people to buy them. So hence the answer there, it is high because it has a more low order goods. Then we're moving to question number 7. The area from which a settlement draws its customer, it is. So again, this is a definition. Then we are looking at option A up until option D for 1 minute, and then after 1 minute, we will be able to discuss the correction. So there, the area from which a settlement draws its customer, we call it a sphere of influence. So where as a business you have mostly of your customers coming in that area, so that area will become your sphere of influence. Then question number 8, we've got a combination. So the sphere of influence of a city is greater than a village because it has. So we are looking at the sphere of influence where we draw our customers from. So it is greater than what? Greater than a village, because, so now look at the diagram so that you can have the clue. We are talking about the sphere of influence. We are talking of a city which is greater than a village. So now we need the reason why it is greater. So looking there at Roman figure 1, its population of 1,000. So the diagram will be helpful. And then Roman figure 2, the smaller radius. And Roman figure 3, the population of 100,000. And the Roman figure 4, it's the larger radius. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes for this one because you need to look at the 2 options. So 2 minutes, and then after 2 minutes, you will be able to do the correction. Looking at our options there, we are looking at D. D is a Roman figure 3 as well as a Roman figure 4. So looking there at Roman figure 3, it's saying the population of 100,000. So again, we are given there. Remember, we were comparing the city versus the village. So the village, it's here, it is 1,000. So therefore, it can be a Roman figure 1. And we are looking at the city. The city here it is 100,000, which means Roman figure 3 is correct. And also we're looking at the smaller radius, which is associated with the 1,000 population, which is incorrect. And then large radius, which is associated with your 100,000. So therefore, the option D, which is your Roman figure 2 as well as your Roman figure 4, they are the most correct one. Then we are done with the short objective questions, your one word. So this is out of 15 marks, the combination of Roman figure 1 and your Roman figure 2. So we're now coming to the long question, which is your figure 1.3. So your long question will be based on the diagram, will be based on the extract. So therefore, it is important to go through whatever a resource the examiner has given you. So for instance, this one, you refer to the extract as well as the graph below on rural depopulation. So by now you need to think back, what did we discuss about the rural depopulation? So we're gonna have to read the extract first before we go to the questions. So in our extract, we've got the village in the Alfred Nzo District Municipality in the remote Eastern Cape cover thousands of hectares along the N2, which is the national route. Extreme social and the economic poverty exist in these villages. This is the common problem in many other parts of the rural South Africa. The Alfred Nzo District Municipality is the most impoverished, which is the poor rural region in the country. So where more than 65% of the people live below the poverty line and 70% of the population is not economically active. These extreme social and economic conditions are made worse by the limited access to the services, especially water, your healthcare, and education. So fewer economic activities have a negative social and the economic impact on the area. Rural settlements are no longer an attractive option for the rural dwellers. Then again, we're looking at our graph there. We've got the population in millions. And then after that, we've got the year. This is our population, and this is the year. So now let us go through the question. We've got question 1.3.1 to question 1.3.4, and then after we're gonna have our question 1.3.5. So the total questions are 5. So we're gonna display the 4 questions first, and then after we do the last one. So referring to the extract as well as the graph above based on the rural depopulation, our first question there, what evidence on the graph, so meaning you need to get the answer from the graph, indicates that rural depopulation has been taking a place since 2020. Then secondly, you've got name 2 social services in the extract again, so it is important to go through the extract and also whatever graph that they gave you. So here we are looking at the 2 social services in the extract that are lacking in the Alfred Nzo district. And then third question, you give 2 possible reasons for the lack of social services in the Alfred Nzo district. 2 times 2. And then number 4, why do rural settlement experience a negative economic impact as a result of a rural depopulation? So here you need to understand what is a rural depopulation. Remember, we are talking about the minimum numbers or the few numbers of people that are left in the rural areas. So again, we're gonna display our extract as well as our graph so that you can read it on your own. So I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to read the extract because now you know what are the questions that have been asked, and then after that you go through the graph, and then after 5 minutes you will then start answering the questions. So now read the extract on your own and then look into the graph, and then after we proceed to the questions. With the hope that we are all done, so now I'm going to display the questions. So you have your question 1 up until question 4. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. And then after 10 minutes, we're going to do the question 1.3.5. And then after, we will be able to do all the corrections. With the hope that we are all done, so let us proceed to question 1.3.5, where it says you suggest the sustainable measures that could be implemented by the municipality of the rural areas to reduce this negative economic impact. 2 times 2, so I'm going to give you just 4 minutes, and then after 4 minutes, we will be able to do the corrections. Right? Looking at our first question there, you were supposed to give the evidence. Where you're getting the evidence, you're getting it from the graph. So the evidence there is the decrease or the decline of the population in the rural areas. So if we can go back to the graph, you will see that each and every year the number of population in the rural areas has been decreasing. And then second question, you are supposed to name 2 social services. Remember, they have mentioned more than 2. So they have mentioned the healthcare, they have mentioned the education, and they have mentioned water. So any 2. Then we proceed to question 1.3.3, whereby you are supposed to give the possible reason why there is this lack of social services in the Alfred municipality. Then number 1, we're looking at not viable because of the low population density. Remember, rural depopulation, there are few numbers that are left in the rural areas. So therefore, because of the low population, and secondly, the few people over a vast area, as well as the insufficient municipal budget, or there is no money, because now if the people are few, also the budget will be less. Then we're looking at our number 4, whereby you're supposed to give why the rural settlement experience a negative economic impact as a result of rural depopulation. Remember the few people that we are talking about that are left in the rural areas. It's only the old people who can no longer work, or it's the children who are still young. So we are looking there, the youth adults which move, so the working class, they are the ones who move to the urban areas. And then secondly, we are looking at the decrease in the available labor pool. So that is the reason why they are not doing well in terms of the economy, because all the working class, they have migrated to the urban areas. Then we're also looking at the skilled people also, the ones that are left behind, they don't have any skill or any clue. So also it is a negative impact. Then we're looking at there are more old people. We've already mentioned that they are left behind. Besides the old people, also they are young who are too young to work. And we're looking at it also reduces the food production because there is no one who is working. Then we're looking at our question number 5, whereby you were supposed to suggest the sustainable measures that could be implemented by the municipality of the rural areas to reduce the negative economic impact. So remember, the people, they are going to other areas or to urban areas because they want a better life. So therefore, they could provide more basic services. Remember, in the rural area, there is less or no services at all. So if they can improve in those services, like your water, your electricity, and also they could improve in the infrastructure. So people, they want a better houses, they want a better roads. So also the creation of job opportunities. Most of the people, they move because of unemployment. So therefore, if they create more job opportunities in the rural area, that could stop people from moving to other areas. And also looking at to attract the industries to the rural areas. Remember, if the industries are attracted to the rural areas, it means the people in the rural area, they will be able to have these job opportunities we are talking about. Then we're moving to figure 1.4. Remember, after the short objective questions, we said you're going to answer 3 questions, which will be the long questions. So this is the second one in figure 1.4. So in figure 1.4, you refer to the extract. You have the extract again, and you have the photograph. The photograph A as well as the sketch B that are based on the commercial decentralization. Again, ask yourself, what is a commercial and what is a decentralization? So we're going to go through the extract again. CBD centralization here to stay. A central business district, which is your CBD, is the original commercial businesses center of the city. There are now many outlying business districts. Remember, we call these the OBD. So that causes by the commercial decentralization. Apart from the physical expansion of the urban settlements that made CBDs more difficult to reach. The causes of growing decentralization of businesses, including the high rents, the crime, the pollution, and the lack of parking. The well-located decentralized nodes remain sought after for the businesses looking for secure premises for their companies, park-like surroundings, and the sufficient parking facilities. Office parks, neighborhood shopping center, and regional shopping centers are often closer to the sought-after residential area, which is the suburbs. which provide a customer base. Then we are given the picture in diagram A. As you see there are cars, and diagram B, they are tall buildings with the CBD as well as the neighborhood shopping center. So let us go through the questions. Again, we've got your question 1.4.1 up to 1.4.4, and then after we're gonna move to the last one, which is your 1.4.5. Going through our question, you define the concept commercial decentralization for 2 marks, and then you state one factor evident in the CBD photograph B. So you go to photograph B that encourages the commercial decentralization. Then number 3, how do high rentals and crime mentioned in the extract lead to the increasing commercial decentralization? 2 times 2, which means you need 2 responses. Then number 4, you explain why neighborhood shopping centers are an attractive option for the location of businesses. So again, you can get a clue in the extract in these answers. Another 2 times 2, which means you need to give another 2 responses. Then I'm going to go back to the extract so that you can be able to read it on your own, and then you go through your photograph A as well as your sketch B. And then I will give you 5 minutes, and then after 5 minutes, we will proceed to the questions. Right, I believe we are all done. So now I'm going to give you 10 minutes to go through the question 1.4.1 up until question 1.4.4, and then after 10 minutes we will be able to do your question 1.4.5, and then after we can do the corrections. With the hope that we are all done, so looking at our 1.4.5, how can the increase in the number of neighborhood shopping centers have a negative impact on the businesses in the CBD? Another 2 times 2, which means it's another 2 responses. So for this one, I'm going to give you 4 minutes again. After 4 minutes, then you will be able to do the corrections from your 1.4.1 up until 1.4.5. Looking into defining your commercial decentralization. Remember, commercial is a place of a business or a place of work. Then decentralization, remember, is to take the industries and you build them in the rural areas or in the outlying business center. So therefore, you are saying the movement of businesses out of the CBD into the suburbs or into the outlying business center. And then secondly, to state one factor that is evident in photograph B that encourages the commercial decentralization. So remember there at photograph B, you have your high building density and you have your lack of space. So if there is no space for expansion, so obviously the industries will be looking at decentralizing. And also the lack of the aesthetic appeal, which means it's no longer beautiful or it's no longer attractive. Then we're looking at your question 3. Your question 3, how do the high rentals, so it was 2 questions, the high rentals as well as the crime, which are mentioned in the extract, lead into the increase in the commercial decentralization. So here you need to give an answer due to the high rent as well as the answer due to crime. So looking at the high rent, they cannot afford the rentals, obviously. And then secondly, it's gonna decrease their profits if the rent is high, and then it means they will be taking from their profits. Then looking at the crime also, the insurance is going to be expensive if the area is recognized as the crime area. And also the customers will not come into that business because they won't feel safe. So any of the two. So remember, it's one from the high rent and one from the crime. Then looking at our question 1.4.4, whereby you're supposed to explain why neighborhood shopping centers are an attractive option for the location of the businesses. So number one, we're looking at the variety of shops that are under one roof. Remember, more like the shopping center or the shopping mall. You don't have to go so far. Everything is under one roof. And also, we're looking there at the close proximity. They are closer to the suburbs or to where the people are staying. So which means they will be saving time or they will be saving in terms of the traveling cost. Then it also has an aesthetic appeal. Remember, aesthetic appeal, we're talking about the place is still new and it is still attractive or it is still beautiful. So obviously, everyone wants nice things. They will prefer to go there. And also, there is plenty of space. So it means there is an availability in terms of the parking space. The customers that are using cars, they won't struggle with the parking. And then we're also looking at the effective security. So it is more secured because there is cameras that are installed for the surveillance, which makes it faster and safe for the customers. Then we're looking at our 1.4.5, whereby you are supposed to tell how can an increase in the number of the neighborhood shopping center have a negative impact on the CBD. Remember, the CBD is far and the neighborhood shopping center is near the residentials. So obviously, the ones that are far, there will be no one who will be traveling in that area. So businesses, they will close down, and also the owners at the CBD, they will be losing profit. And also the value of the property at the CBD, it will also decrease if the business is no longer there. And we're looking at the buildings will be left vacant because the people or the business owners, they will be opting to decentralize their businesses. And also we're looking at the decrease in terms of the local consumers or the buying power. Remember, if there is a decrease in the buying power, which means those businesses will be failing. And it will also lead into the business or the building be dilapidated, which means it will become old and they will vandalize, and there will be so many illegal activities that can happen in that building. Then we come to our figure 1.5, which is a third and long question. So figure 1.5, again, you are given an extract, so you refer to the source below on the influence of the public transport system on the traffic congestion. So you are given an extract as well as the diagram there. You've got the 60 commuters in 24 cars, and you've got the 60 commuters in 5 minibus taxis, and you've got the 60 commuters in 1 bus. So to look there at our extract, it says the impact of the public transport on traffic congestion. The use of public transport is encouraged because it reduces traffic congestion. In South Africa, the most common form of public transport is the use of a minibus, a taxi, although the public transport, e.g. your minibus taxis as well as the buses, plays a valuable role in reducing the number of private cars or the number of private vehicles on the road. It is associated with a number of challenges. So these challenges are associated with the economic injustice to the consumers. Then you are given a glossary. The commuters, people who travel from home to work daily. So let us go through the question. So with the question, you are given a 1.5.1 whereby according to the source, so why it is important to go through whatever source that we are given, which type of transport will create most traffic congestion. Then secondly, you need to give a reason for the answer. Then question number 3, how can improved public transport systems decrease the traffic congestion? Then in a paragraph question, remember we said along those 3 long questions, you will have one with a paragraph question. So a paragraph question, you explain why the use of public transport such as a minibus taxi and the buses could be economic injustice, which means it's a concern to the commuters. So I'm going to give you 12 minutes to work on this activity because there is a diagram, because there is a paragraph question. But before we start with our activity, let us go through the sources that we have. Go through the source and then you read the extract again. Now, because you already aware of what are the questions that you will be looking for, so I'm going to give you 5 minutes to study the diagram and to read the extract, and then after that we proceed to the questions where I'm going to give you 12 minutes to work on those questions, and then after we will be able to discuss the corrections. So you're going to have your 12 minutes to answer these 4 questions, and then after 12 minutes, you will be able to do the correction. Right, with the hope that we are all done. So according to the source, remember it says there, the cars or the private vehicles are the ones who are causing more of the traffic. Because remember, you will have one person inside the car, whereas at the taxi, at the minibus taxi, or the buses, they take 60, the minibus, they take 15. So which means more of the private vehicles or the cars are the ones who are creating a traffic. Then secondly, giving a reason, there are more cars that are being used instead of using a public transport whereby there are so many people that are accommodated. Then you're looking at your question 1.3. Your question 1.3, 1.5.3, how can improved public transport system decrease the traffic congestion? So you are looking there at the availability of the public transport, not just being available and also being efficient, which means it is working efficiently. People will be at work on time and they will go back home on time, and it will make to have the fewer cars on the road. So we are looking there at the fewer cars as well as the availability of the public transport. Then also, if there could be more efficient public transport, we've already mentioned that, which means it will also give an increase in terms of accessibility because it will be more efficient, which means it will be working perfectly. And also the dedicated of the public transport lanes, like your bus lanes, where else if you are using a public transport, you will have a right of way in those dedicated lanes. Then looking at our paragraph question, you are supposed to explain why the use of public transport such as a minibus taxi as well as the buses could be an economic injustice, which means it's a concern to the commuters. So number 1, it is costly and it has a negative influence on the people's budget. So you can imagine if the person is spending 50 rand or 100 rand a day, by the end of the month, that person will be spending more money. Then we're looking there at the commuters. They will sometimes have to change a several mode. So remember, those public transports, if they are not going into your workplace, it means you need to take more than one taxi for you to get to work. Then you're looking at the petrol prices increases with the effect of the budget in the commuters. Sometimes the petrol will be up in the middle of the month, and then those minibus taxes, they will be increasing their bus fare, which means now it's also putting a strain in a commuters. Then we are looking at also their high accidents in terms of the minibus taxes because of the irresponsible drivers. So commuters, they could be in danger. Then we're also looking at some of options that you might have used. It is unsafe and it is sometimes not roadworthy, and it can break anytime, which means now the commuters won't be able to reach to work on time. And also, if commuters are late, it means they could result in them losing their jobs. And then we're looking also sometimes there are violences or the strikes that are going on with the public transport industry, which means it will result into a loss of income. And also we are looking at the inflexible operating hours, which are restrict the commuters from working overtime. Remember, if you are working, you have to work overtime until 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock at night, there is no taxi, which means now you will be restricted as the commuter to take that overtime because of the transport issues. Then we're looking at summarizing on what we have learned today. We have learned about the settlement functions as well as the land reform. We have talked about the high order as well as the low order services. And we have talked about the rural depopulation, and we have learned about the commercial decentralization, and then lastly, we have looked into the traffic congestion. Then, the preview of our next lesson, we're going to focus on paper 2 still, but we will be revising for question 2. Remember, question 2 is an economic geography. So we have came to an end of our lesson today. Hopefully you have enjoyed the lesson, but most of all, I hope you have learned something today. Thank you and stay tuned for the next lesson.